1962 Impala Restoration, Part 16. Hey, but first hit that like and subscribe. And I've got a notice. I am actively looking for a skilled restoration craftsman. Now here's a list of the must-haves. If that's you, give me a call or an email. All right, let's go. Now there's an issue that's really particular with these years of Impalas with the X-frame. The way the trunk is made, there's very little clearance between the frame rails. So I decided that to avoid any potential issues after having the body all welded up and then it not fitting into the frame, well, we're just going to put it on the frame, ditch the frame fixture, go a different way. Okay, we've got the body mount bushings installed, rolling that frame underneath the body, and now we're going to get it mounted. We're starting with the front body mounts. And kaboom, there it is. Body's on the frame. Now there are a couple of important measurements. First off, well, I've leveled out the rockers, and we want to measure and make sure that the frame is the equal height in the rear. So now we're going to get the body mount bushing bolts installed. And there that is. Now we just left them loose so we can move this body around on the frame. Now these two little pieces, they're filler pieces that go in between, sandwich in between the outer and inner wheel wells. And they fit just like this. Now this is the passenger side. Now the driver's side has an access hole through it, and that's to allow the fuel filler tube to the fuel tank to go through. And I'm marking holes, or I'm marking where I want to punch out holes here so that I can plug weld that piece into place. Now I can use the manual hole punch on most of it, but a few of the holes, well, I'll need to drill out and install holes that way. And finishing out with the hole punch. And sliding it into position. Now that covers up the mounting nut there on both sides. And prepping the outer wheel well. And up to this point, if you've been following the build, well, up to this point, we really haven't welded anything. Everything's screwed together or clamped in place. And the reason is, well, part of it, getting it on the frame, everything's falling in the correct place as far as the mounting holes in the frame to the body. That's all good. Well, here's a shot. Everything's looking really good, lined up, looks the way it's supposed to be. So we're in really good shape. Those are really good signs. And after we get the quarter panels mocked up and into place, then we're going to come back and weld everything up. Now, this is the issue that I was speaking of. See, that little drop in the trunk pan, there is not a lot of room in between the wheel wells. And if we were to weld that in a little too far left or right, front or back, well, we'd have a big problem. The way people usually remedy that is they'll cut the top of the frame rails, but yeah, I don't want to do that. I'd rather just do it correctly. Now we're just going to snug all of these body mount bolts up. We don't want to over tighten them or anything. We've gotten the body in position on the frame where it needs to be. And here's a little trick. Now I'm using a manual come along, and I'm going to install it in the very front of the frame rail, and I've attached a length of chain to the cowl, and I'm going to cinch that up with the come along. And what that will do is, if I need to tweak that cowl forward, that will raise the back of the door, or I can lower the back of the door, and that'll just help with getting everything lined up. And we're going to mock up the passenger quarter panel. Now, we had already mocked this up when it was on the frame fixture, but we need to do it again. And I can tell there's going to be a couple of issues with it, but that's not a big deal. We're going to deal with that. We're going to attack the driver's side first anyway. We're just going to hold this thing into place with a couple of self-tapping screws. And an insurance clamp so it doesn't fall off. Okay, moving to the driver's side. This is part of a remnant of the old quarter panel. Now this is a little connecting piece with the trunk. We're going to get that removed. Get that area prepped so we can mock up the driver's quarter panel. And this side's a little trickier because of the fuel tank door. That rests directly and is a mounting spot for the inner wheel well. And that's what we have right off the bat. Well, yeah, we're gonna improve upon that, definitely. And just for the people who don't do this usually or regularly, yeah, nothing usually ever just fits. It it just doesn't work that way. You put things together, take them apart, put them together, take them apart, fit them, trim, yeah, bend, maybe say a couple bad words on a bad day, and then things start to come together. So what we're doing here is we're going to trim because the quarter panel needs to slide forward slightly. You can see the how big of a gap we have, and that bottom piece, rocker area, will hold us. So I'm putting some reference marks here where we should have resistant or plug welds, and we're going to punch holes there so we can do the plug welding. And that's what we'll fix it to the jam piece. Okay, so we're going to get that off. Do those few things. And what I was meaning earlier is, yeah, we do this, then we put it back on, get it a little bit closer to where it's supposed to be, and then mark whatever else needs to be trimmed or hammer and dollied or fixed. Take it back off, and usually that process is two to who knows how many times until it fits, until it's right. Now you can cheat and just start cutting away, but yeah, that's not the real professional way to do it, and that's not how we do it. We want the parts to fit and then weld. And usually it doesn't take that much extra time, so that's just how we're going to do it. Now these holes that I'm installing, that'll be for plug welding it to the outer wheel well. Now here's another area that's going to be an issue. This quarter panel isn't made quite right. You can see how much of a difference there is there. Yeah, that should be flush, or not flush, but the line should be in the same plane. So the easy way to do this is to just cut this piece out. Now all of this goes underneath of a trim piece, so it's all hidden anyway. Instead of trying to rework it, this and that, this is one area where, yeah, you just cut it out. Now we can move that whole quarter panel in, and we can do away with that gap. You can see how it just relieved all that pressure there and fit. So now we're going to hold this quarter to the door jamb with some self-tapping screws. And bend that up slightly. And it's starting to come together. And when we use a hammer, we want to push things with a hammer. We don't want to beat things with a hammer. Hey, this side's looking really nice, man. The lines are looking good. We're going to have to do a little hammer and dolly work in a few areas, but hey, we've got some really nice lines going on. Really happy with that. Everything's going well, at least on the driver's side. Now, here's another little tip. Whenever you line up a door with a rocker, you want that to be straight. You don't want the door to be further back or further forward, because then you've got issues. And now let's take a look at our door gap. That's coming along much better. For some reason in the video, the gap looks a lot wider than it is. Yeah, it's not that wide. It's really nice and parallel throughout the door to rocker all the way around. And so we're going to take it off again. And like I mentioned, everything is just screwed into place or clamped into place. In the next video, well, we're going to start welding, because I'm satisfied with the everything. Floor, rockers, inner quarter panels. Everything is right on the driver's side. We're going to get that thing welded out and then move to the passenger side, get the quarters on. That's coming. And even the inner and outer wheel wells. Yeah, everything's just clamped into place, screwed into place. And hey, go to that merchandise store, pick something out, support the channel. And as always, thanks for watching.